Cabragals Mayor Ned Mannoun joins me now. Good afternoon, Mayor.
Good afternoon, Chris.
Now, take us through what Council's decided to do about the name Badgerys Creek.
So last night I put forward a mayoral minute about changing the suburb of Badgerys Creek to Cabrogal in recognition of the Cabrogal clan of the Darug Nation, which is our local, the local custodians of the land.
And why have you decided to do that?
Reconciliation is an ongoing process. And as we move forward for the future of Australia, we need to co-create. This is about respect, and the best way to do it is by using our actions. We are building Australia's biggest piece of infrastructure. What will be the number one international gateway into Australia will be the Nancy Bird Walton Airport. And if this is successful, it will be at Cabrogal. We should be recognizing the First Nations community in this area. And now by doing this, we'll have the Nancy Bird Walton Airport in the suburb of Cabrogal, and then we'll have the suburb of Bradfield just next to it.
Any indication of how the local community feels about it?
The feedback that we've received has been extremely positive. We've been discussing this with the local Aboriginal Land Council, Gendingara, and with their some of the elders there. And they believe this is a very positive move. They felt like they've kind of been left out of the naming of the airport and even the suburb Bradfield. But what this is very important because it rights those wrongs. And the reality is this is more important. We want people, when they're flying into Nancy Bird Walton, they're landing in Cabrogal, and this will give us a great opportunity to continue the education, reconciliation, and co-creation that we all need to do together.
You'd think so. How did Badgerys Creek get its name in the first place?
You know what? I haven't done the research, but I'm sure there's history attached to it.
Badgery might not be happy about the name change.
Badgery, or the little fluffy animal that lives near the creek, But I think going back forward, this is about recognizing, the 40,000 years of history versus the good couple of hundred years of history, and it's a sacrifice. But I think the future generations will look at this as an extremely positive thing.
And it starts with council. What happens now?
So now we need to go to the Geographical Names Board, and they basically will control the process. We need to get their sign off, and I think that we will have a meeting with them very shortly, and we'll do the consultation. We'll get the community's views, and we'll present all that to them in one hit. And can I say to the community, this is costing us nothing to do except a bunch of paperwork.
Right. It seems strange that an organisation called the Geographical Names Board, without any necessary connection to Liverpool and the region, gets final say over this.
Yeah, look, what they do, I think it's more about, I guess, protection. So, for example, there's a whole bunch of protocol when you want to name streets, name suburbs, name parks. You just can't do whatever you want. So like, for example, there's a lot of people that we like to honor when you build a new park and when they pass away. But so you actually cannot name something after someone while they're alive. You have to wait until they pass, and it has to be at least a year. So I think just it's good that there is a level of protection on it, but they're very reasonable. We work with them all the time. Liverpool is a growing area. All the growth in Sydney is happening out here. So we're constantly working with them, coming up with street names, and we have to come up with hundreds of street names, and we will have to come up with other suburbs in the future. So, so far so good. We have a very good relationship with them. So
does this mean Bradfield will also be Cabrogal? Will Bradfield be nullified as well as Badgerys Creek?
No, this will mean that Bradfield will be able to continue on as Bradfield because that name hasn't officially been declared yet. So council previously was against that, but we've said no. Now, as part of this mayoral minute, we now support the name Bradfield. Bradfield is going to be the next Silicon City of innovation, high tech. Where we'll be driving amazing technological advances there. That suburb will remain, and that sits just to the southeast of the airport, adjoining the airport. But the actual land of the airport, which is much bigger and much more important, will hopefully, if this is approved, be now known as Cabrogal.
And what's the speed of this process? How soon could Badgerys Creek be renamed Cabrogal?
I think the last thing we would ever expect anything of speed and government to be linked together, or government or bureaucracy.
Shame.
But yeah, look, there's a process. It's going to happen. I'd love to see it happening within the next 6 to 9 months, is my particular view. But we work with them, but we want to make sure that we back it up, that we all get together on this. It's not just something that's important for Liverpool, but this is important for the future of New South Wales and Australia. When you go to airports in New Zealand, I've been told, I haven't been there, but there's a significant recognition of the Maori culture there. And I think this is a really good, important message to send to the 80 million passengers who will be using the Namesy Bird Walton Airport, that they've landed in Cabrogal. And it's a really good opportunity to ask questions and to learn more, because, as I said, it's about co-creation. And that's what the Land Council wants to do here at Gandingara. It's about co-creating a better Australia for all of us.
Well, Mayor, good luck with it. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Thank you.
That's Ned Mannoun. He's the Mayor of Liverpool City Council, outlining this minute delivered to Council, proposing that the name of Badgerys Creek be changed to reflect the name given by the traditional owners to the area, Cabrogal. And imagine if you, as the Mayor said, land and here you are landing in Australia for the first time at a brand new airport, and you get an introduction to the people who were here thousands and thousands of years before white man landed and the history of this nation.